The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Empire glowed with a soft purple light as Supreme Commander Zixthor stood before the assembled leaders. His tall, silvery frame reflected the light as he gestured toward the holographic display of a small blue planet. "This, noble council members, is another primitive world we discovered in Sector 7, Zixthor said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The dominant species calls it Earth. Our initial scans show they have barely reached their moon. They are not worth our immediate attention." The council members nodded in agreement. After ruling the galaxy for 10,000 years, they had seen countless civilizations rise and fall. Humans were just another species to eventually conquer or destroy. "We will send a single scout ship to monitor their progress," announced Council Elder Vermax, her crystalline structure shimming as she spoke. Standard protocol for primitive species. Little did they know, this decision would change the course of galactic history forever. 3 Earth days later, Scout Ship ZX-419 entered the planet's orbit. Captain Drentur watched the blue world with mild curiosity. His crew of 5 had performed hundreds of such missions, and they all followed the same boring pattern. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures," reported Science Officer Killa, her tentacles moving rapidly across the control panel. "They seem to have some form of orbital defense system." Drentur laughed. "Impossible. Their technology level is centuries behind ours. Our scanners must be malfunctioning." Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. Multiple objects were approaching at incredible speed. The crew watched in disbelief as strange, sleek vessels emerged from what appeared to be cloaked orbital platforms. "Impossible," Drentur shouted. "They shouldn't have cloaking technology. Raise shields." But it was too late. The human vessels fired weapons that somehow bypassed their advanced shielding. Energy beams sliced through the scout ship's hull like it was made of paper. "Send emergency transmission to command," Drentur ordered as his ship began breaking apart. "The humans, they're not what we thought." The transmission reached the Empire's council chamber just as their scout ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The council members watched in stunned silence as the recording played, showing the final moments of their superior technology being destroyed by a supposedly primitive species. Zixthor's metallic skin paled. In 10,000 years of Empire history, no lower species had ever managed to destroy an Imperial vessel. The implications were staggering. "How?" Elder Vermax demanded. "How did they hide their true capabilities from our scans?" Another council member, General Krastel, slammed his armored fist on the table. "They deceived us, made us believe they were weak. This cannot stand." But Zixthor remained silent, studying the replay of the battle. The humans hadn't just gotten lucky. Their attack was precise, coordinated, and showed intimate knowledge of Imperial technology's weaknesses, something that should have been impossible. "We have made a grave mistake," he finally said, his voice heavy with realization. "We didn't discover them. They let us find them, and they were ready for us." The council chamber erupted in chaos as the implications sank in. The Empire had stumbled upon something unprecedented. A species that not only could fight back, but had been preparing to do so all along. As emergency protocols were activated and war fleets were mobilized, a simple message began spreading through the Empire's vast network. "First contact with Earth. Warning, they are not what they seem." The galaxy's greatest power was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. The war that would change everything was about to begin. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her computer screen in the NASA Deep Space Monitoring Facility, her coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. The signals they had detected were unlike anything she had ever seen before. "Director Miller," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You need to see this." The facility director rushed over, his usual calm demeanor shaken by the urgency in her voice. On the screen, strange patterns pulsed across the frequency analyzer. "It's not random noise," Sarah explained. "These are encrypted communications, and they're coming from just beyond Mars' orbit." Within hours, similar reports flooded in from space agencies worldwide. The Russian Space Agency detected massive objects moving at impossible speeds. The European Space Observatory tracked energy signatures that defied known physics. In the Pentagon's secret underground command center, General James Rodriguez faced a room full of worried faces. Military leaders from 20 countries attended the emergency video conference. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "Operation Guardian Angel is now active. The scenario we prepared for over the last 50 years is happening." Gasps filled the room as classified files appeared on their screens. Photos of recovered alien technology, secret space defense platforms, and advanced weapon systems, all hidden from the public eye for decades. Since the Roswell incident, Rodriguez continued, "We knew they would come. We reversed engineered what we could. We prepared. We waited. And now they're here." Across the globe, hidden facilities hummed to life. Mountain bases opened their massive doors. Underground hangars revealed sleek spacecraft that humans weren't supposed to have for centuries. The Chinese military activated their quantum communication network. Indian scientists powered up their anti-gravity research facilities. Brazilian engineers brought their plasma weapon platforms online. Then the Empire's message arrived. It broadcast on every frequency, in every language. "Primitive species of Earth, you have destroyed Imperial property. Submit to Imperial rule or face extinction. You have one Earth day to respond." In the United Nations emergency session, world leaders gathered to make humanity's most important decision. The usual political rivalries disappeared in the face of extinction. "We knew this day would come," spoke the Secretary General, her voice firm. "Our ancestors saw their scout ships centuries ago. Every major civilization on Earth passed down warnings about visitors from the stars. We used that time wisely." Screens around the chamber showed humanity's secret preparations. Orbital defense platforms cloaked with technology reversed engineered from crashed alien ships. Quantum computers that could hack alien systems. Weapons designed specifically to counter Imperial technology. In his hidden command center, General Rodriguez received the final authorization codes. Similar commands echoed in military bases worldwide. Humanity's mask of primitiveness was about to fall away. "Send our response," he ordered. A young lieutenant pressed a series of buttons. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of hidden defense platforms decloaked. Military satellites revealed their true nature as weapon platforms. The moon's dark side lit up as secret bases activated. Earth's message to the Empire was brief. "We choose to fight." In the Imperial fleet approaching Earth, Admiral Kexthor received the humans' response. He laughed at first, but his laughter died as his sensors suddenly detected thousands of advanced weapon signatures appearing around the planet. "Impossible," he whispered, watching as Earth's true defense capabilities revealed themselves. "They were ready for us. They were ready all along." The Empire had expected to find a primitive species cowering in fear. Instead, they found humanity standing united, armed with weapons that shouldn't exist, and prepared for a fight they had anticipated for generations. The real war was about to begin, and humanity wasn't planning to run. The Imperial fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm of metal, 10,000 warships darkening Earth's sky. Admiral Kexthor stood on his command bridge, watching the small blue planet with cold determination. "Launch the first wave," he commanded. "Show these primitives the price of defiance." 500 Imperial destroyers moved forward, their weapons charging. The Admiral expected the battle to end quickly. He was wrong. In Earth's secret lunar base, Commander Emma Torres watched the approaching fleet on her holographic display. Her fingers moved across the control panel as she activated humanity's first line of defense. "All quantum minefields activate on my mark," she ordered. "Let's show them our hospitality." The space between Earth and the approaching Imperial ships suddenly lit up. Thousands of hidden quantum mines, invisible to Imperial sensors, detonated in synchronized patterns. The explosions ripped through the Imperial formation, destroying 30 destroyers in seconds. Impossible, Kex Thor shouted as his ships exploded. They're weapons. They're using quantum technology. But humanity was just getting started. From behind Mars, a fleet of Earth's stealth ships appeared. They were smaller than Imperial vessels, but moved with impossible speed and precision. These ships, built with reversed-engineered alien technology, carried weapons specifically designed to bypass Imperial shields. Captain John Chen led the human counterattack. "Remember your training," he told his pilots through the comm system. "Hit and run. Don't let them track your patterns." The human ships struck like lightning, their plasma beams cutting through Imperial armor. They disappeared before the Empire could respond, only to appear somewhere else moments later. In orbit around Earth, another surprise waited. The supposedly primitive satellites revealed themselves as AI-controlled battle stations. Their quantum computers hacked Imperial systems, turning their own weapons against them. "Our shields are failing," screamed an Imperial officer as his ship's systems went dark. "They're inside our computers." Admiral Kex Thor watched in horror as his mighty fleet fell into chaos. The humans were using strategies and technologies that no primitive species should have. Every Imperial tactic was met with a perfect counter-response. From her command center in the Pentagon, General Rodriguez coordinated the global defense. "Launch the EMP pulses," she ordered. "Disable their communication systems." Massive electromagnetic pulses, modified with alien technology, swept through space. Imperial ships lost contact with each other. Their advanced AI systems crashed, leaving them blind and confused. In orbit, Captain Chen's fleet struck again. "All ships, execute Maneuver 0, he commanded. His fleet split into smaller groups, using Earth's gravity to slingshot around the planet at incredible speeds. Imperial ships exploded one after another. Their superior weapons meant nothing when they couldn't track their targets. Their advanced shields were useless against weapons designed to bypass them. "Retreat," Admiral Kex Thor finally ordered, his voice shaking. "All ships, fall back. They were waiting for us. They knew our weaknesses." As the Imperial fleet retreated in disorder, leaving hundreds of destroyed ships behind, humanity celebrated their first victory. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. In the lunar base, Commander Torres watched the Imperial ships flee. "Send word to all commands," she said. "First wave repelled. Prepare for their return." The Empire had launched this attack expecting an easy victory over primitives. Instead, they found themselves running from a species that had spent generations preparing for this very day. As Admiral Kex Thor's damaged flagship limped away from Earth, he realized a terrible truth. They hadn't discovered humanity. Humanity had been hunting them all along. In the Imperial Center for Species Analysis, Chief Researcher Vexnor studied thousands of videos from Earth's public networks. Her team had been ordered to understand why their initial invasion failed so badly. "These humans," she reported to the gathered Imperial commanders, "are unlike any species we've encountered. They spend their entire history preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful." On the massive screen behind her, images flashed. Humans playing war games, children learning strategy through video games, movies about alien invasions, and military training exercises. "They turn everything into combat training," Vexnor continued. "Even their entertainment prepares them for war. They've been mentally ready for us for generations." Admiral Kex Thor, still recovering from his humiliating defeat, watched the analysis with growing concern. How do they adapt so quickly? In response, Vexnor showed footage from Earth's recent defense. They don't just fight with weapons. They use psychology. Every move they made was designed to shock and confuse us. Meanwhile, on Earth's moon base Alpha, Dr. Emily Wong worked with her team of psychologists and military strategists. They reviewed Imperial communication patterns captured during the battle. Their biggest weakness, she explained to General Rodriguez over a secure quantum link, is their inability to handle surprise. 10,000 years of victory made them predictable. The general nodded. Then let's give them more surprises. Across the solar system, humanity's forces began implementing their next phase. Small teams of ships appeared randomly in Imperial territory, not to attack, but to be seen and disappear. Each sighting was different, showing capabilities that should be impossible. In his command ship, Imperial Commander Zixthor received another disturbing report. "My lord, the humans, they're appearing everywhere at once. Our forces are exhausted from chasing ghosts." The psychological warfare was working. Imperial crews, used to being the galaxy's unstoppable force, began seeing human ships in every shadow. Their perfect military discipline started cracking. Back on Earth, the United World Defense Council gathered to review their strategy. Admiral Sarah Chen, now leading Earth's space fleet, presented their next move. "We've intercepted their psychological profiles," she said. "The Empire's species has never lost in their recorded history. They don't know how to handle defeat. So we'll teach them." In deep space, Imperial patrol ships encountered strange messages floating in space. Some were simple warnings. "You can't win this war." Others were more personal. "We know your weaknesses." All were designed to create fear. The Empire's mighty warriors, who had never known fear, started looking over their shoulders. Their commanders began doubting every decision. The unbeatable Imperial war machine was facing something new: uncertainty. Dr. Wang's team continued their psychological analysis. "They think in straight lines," she told her staff. "They expect enemies to either run or fight head-on. They can't handle enemies who do both at random." Humanity's forces used this knowledge perfectly. They launched attacks that made no tactical sense but caused maximum psychological damage. They revealed advanced technologies in one battle, then used primitive weapons in the next. In the Imperial war room, frustration reached new heights. "How do we fight an enemy that doesn't follow any logical pattern?" one commander demanded. Vexner, watching new footage of human battles, finally understood. "That's what makes them dangerous," she said quietly. "Their greatest weapon isn't their technology or their preparation. It's their unpredictability. They've turned chaos into a strategy." The Empire had spent 10,000 years perfecting war, but now they faced a species that had spent its entire existence preparing for this moment, not just with weapons, but with their minds. The real question was no longer whether humanity could win, but whether the Empire could survive facing an enemy that thought so differently from anything they had ever known. The underground Cyber Command Center in Geneva hummed with activity as thousands of quantum computers worked at full power. Dr. Marcus Zhang, Earth's leading expert in alien technology, smiled as his team finally cracked the Imperial communication codes. "We're in their network," he announced, his voice echoing through the facility. "Every message, every command, every secret, we can see it all." On the massive screens surrounding them, Imperial data streams began flowing. Battle plans, ship locations, and classified documents appeared faster than they could read them. In orbit around Jupiter, Captain Lisa Rodriguez watched her stealth fleet sensors light up with new information. "All ships, prepare for Operation Ghostwalker," she commanded. "We now know exactly where to hit them." The Empire's mighty defense grid suddenly seemed like paper to the human forces. Ships appeared from nowhere, striking at supply lines and communication relays that were supposed to be secret. Each blow was precise, calculated, and devastating. In the Imperial High Command, panic spread as their most secure systems failed one after another. "My lord," a young officer reported to Supreme Commander Zixthor, "the humans, they're not just reading our current communications, they're accessing our historical archives. They know everything about us." Zixthor's metallic skin paled. "Impossible. Those archives contain 10,000 years of Imperial knowledge." But the impossible was happening. Throughout Imperial space, other alien species began receiving messages, secret files showing the Empire's past atrocities, evidence of manipulation and lies used to keep other races under control. On a distant trading world, Caxnor, leader of the merchant species, watched these revelations with growing anger. "The Empire told us they protected us from the humans," he said to his council. But these records show they feared the humans' potential to unite other species. The rebellion began slowly at first. A few colonial worlds stopped sending resources. Then entire species began questioning imperial authority. The mighty empire started cracking from within. Back on Earth, General Rodriguez reviewed the latest battle reports with satisfaction. "Phase 3 is working better than we expected," she told the World Defense Council. "The Empire's own secrets are becoming their greatest weakness." Human ships, now armed with complete knowledge of Imperial technology, struck with devastating efficiency. They used the Empire's own tactical protocols against them, appearing exactly where they weren't expected. In the Centauri sector, Admiral Sarah Chen led a bold attack on a main Imperial supply base. Her ships bypassed every defense by using the Empire's own security codes. "Send word to Earth," she commanded after the successful raid. "The Empire's supply chain is broken. They can't support a long war anymore." The Empire's response was chaos. Some commanders wanted to retreat. Others demanded an all-out attack on Earth. The once unified Imperial leadership began fighting among themselves. In a secret meeting room on the Imperial capital world, Vexnor presented her final analysis to the High Council. "The humans didn't just break our codes," she explained, her voice heavy. "They broke our entire system. They turned our greatest strength, our unity and order, into our greatest weakness." The Empire had always relied on perfect coordination and absolute control. Now, with their communications compromised and their secrets exposed, that same system was falling apart. On Earth, Dr. Zhang watched the Empire's slow collapse with a mix of pride and amazement. "They spent 10,000 years building the perfect system," he told his team. "We needed just one chance to show them that perfect systems have perfect weaknesses." The war wasn't over, but the turning point had arrived. The Empire's cloak of invincibility had been torn away, not just by human weapons, but by the power of information itself. As news spread across the galaxy, a new message began to circulate. The humans didn't just fight the Empire, they outthought it. The Imperial Palace's Grand Council chamber, once a symbol of absolute power, now echoed with angry voices. Supreme Commander Zixthor watched as his mighty empire crumbled from within. "We must strike Earth with everything we have," shouted General Krastal, his armored fist denting the ancient council table. "Show them our true power." "Our true power?" Elder Vermax laughed bitterly. "Half our fleet refuses to follow orders. 3 major species have already declared independence. What power do we have left?" The latest reports flashed across the room's holographic displays. More colonies were revolting every day. Species that had been obedient for thousands of years now demanded freedom. In a secure bunker on Mars, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the Empire's internal communications with interest. "They're breaking apart faster than we expected," she reported to Earth's United Defense Council. "Their entire system was built on fear and absolute control," General Rodriguez replied through the quantum link. "Once we exposed their secrets, that fear turned against them." Across the galaxy, former Imperial worlds began reaching out to Earth. Not for conquest or submission, but for alliance. They had seen how humans fought, not just with weapons, but with intelligence and strategy. On the trading world of Caxanor Prime, alien merchants gathered to discuss their future. "The humans protected our ships during the rebellion," one leader noted. "They targeted the Empire's military but left civilian vessels alone. Even their enemies they treat with honor." Back in the Imperial Palace, Zixthor faced a difficult truth. "Show me the casualty reports," he ordered his staff. All of them. From the first day. The numbers were staggering. The Empire had lost more ships and soldiers in this one war than in the last 1,000 years combined. But the humans had been selective in their targets, avoiding civilian casualties whenever possible. They could have destroyed our worlds, Zixthor realized. They had the power, but they chose not to. Why? In Earth's orbital command station, Admiral Chen received another transmission from a former Imperial world seeking alliance. "They're beginning to understand," she told her staff. "We never wanted to destroy the Empire. We just wanted to end their tyranny." The Empire's military commanders met in emergency session. Their once proud fleet was in shambles, their perfect order replaced by chaos. Some suggested surrender. Others wanted to fight to the last ship. "Look at these battle analyses." Admiral Kexthor, once the Empire's proudest warrior, pointed to the data. "The humans could have annihilated us in the first week. Instead, they gave us chances to retreat, to reconsider. We were too proud to see it." In the Imperial Archives, Chief Researcher Vexnor made one final report. "The humans," she wrote, "have achieved what no species has done in 10,000 years. They defeated us not by being stronger, but by being wiser." The evidence was clear. Humans had weapons that could destroy planets, but they chose precision strikes instead. They had codes to shut down every Imperial system, but they only disrupted military targets. They had the power to crush the Empire, but they offered peace instead. On Earth, the Defense Council received an unexpected message. The Empire wanted to talk, not about surrender or submission, but about change. "They're finally ready," General Rodriguez said, reading the message. "They've learned that true strength isn't about controlling everything. It's about knowing when to let go." The Empire faced its greatest dilemma: continue fighting a war they couldn't win, or accept a new way of thinking that challenged everything they believed for 10,000 years. As Zixthor prepared for the first peace talks, he remembered the initial reports about Earth. "We thought they were primitive," he said to his advisors. "Instead, they taught us what real civilization means." The Great Hall of Peace on Neutral Station Alpha buzzed with activity. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to witness something unprecedented: the signing of the new Galactic Accord. Supreme Commander Zixthor, now bearing the title of Imperial Representative, stood beside Earth's Ambassador Sarah Chen. 1 year ago, they had been enemies. Today, they would reshape the galaxy together. The Empire ruled through fear for 10,000 years. Zixthor addressed the gathered species. "Humans showed us a better way in just 1 year. Today, we choose that better way." The massive chamber's holographic displays showed celebrations on countless worlds. Former Imperial colonies, independent species, and Earth's allies all watched as history unfolded. In Earth's orbital command center, General Rodriguez watched the ceremony with pride. "Did you ever think," she asked Admiral Chen, "that our victory would lead to this?" "Not victory," the Admiral corrected. "Understanding. That's what humans brought to the galaxy." The new Galactic Accord appeared on screens throughout the station. Its first article shone brightly: "All species are born free and equal in rights and dignity." In the Imperial capital, now renamed the Galactic Center, Elder Vermax supervised the transformation of the old Imperial archives. "For 10,000 years, we kept knowledge to control others," she told her staff. "Now we share it to empower everyone." Humans have become teachers, sharing their unique perspective with former Imperial worlds. They taught adaptation, innovation, and most importantly, the strength found in diversity. On Mars, Dr. Zhang's team worked with alien scientists, combining human creativity with Imperial technology. Together, he explained to a group of visiting species, "We can build things neither of us could imagine alone." The changes spread across the galaxy. Former Imperial warships now carried peaceful explorers. Ancient enemies became trading partners. The galaxy learned that human unpredictability, once feared, led to incredible innovations. "Look at these reports," Ambassador Chen said to Zixthor as they walked through the station's garden dome. "Trade has increased 300% since the Accord. Scientific discoveries are happening daily. We've achieved more together than either of us did alone." Zixthor nodded, watching Earth through the station's viewport. "We thought we were coming to teach primitives. Instead, they taught us the most important lesson of all." "What's that?" Chen asked, though she knew the answer. That true strength isn't about controlling the galaxy, he replied. It's about helping it grow. In schools across former Imperial space, young aliens learned a new history. They learned how humans, a species the Empire once dismissed, had changed everything not through conquest, but through wisdom. On Earth, the United Defense Council received reports from across the galaxy. Former enemies became students, learning Earth's ways of innovation and adaptation. The humans' greatest victory wasn't defeating the Empire, it was transforming it. In the Galactic Library, once the Imperial War Room, a new warning was displayed. Never underestimate humans, not for their weapons, but for their wisdom. The final piece of the accord was signed with representatives from all species present. The galaxy would no longer be ruled by fear and control, but by cooperation and mutual respect. As the ceremony ended, Ambassador Chen turned to Zix Thor. Was it worth it? She asked. Giving up an empire to build something new. The former Supreme Commander watched as representatives from 1,000 worlds mingled freely, sharing ideas and dreams. We didn't give up an empire, he said. We gained a galaxy. And so the story that began with a warning to run became a lesson in standing together. The humans who were once seen as primitives to be conquered became the teachers of a fundamental truth. Real power isn't about ruling the galaxy, but about helping it thrive.